Hello, fellow members of the Midnight Society. Welcome back to another episode review from the show Are You Afraid of the Dark? Last time, we covered The Tale of the Virtual Pets, a Vange story about aliens, or something, creating Tamagotchis to enslave humanity. Tonight's narrative, from Andy, is about a teen who wants to escape his current life until his dream comes true. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, I call this Season 6, Episode 5, The Tale of the Misfortune Cookie. We open on Andy giving out fortune cookies. Vange wants 2, but Andy says 1 for everyone because they're not about eating, they're about giving fortunes. Quinn thinks that fortunes don't mean anything, and then this happens.
It doesn't say nothing. It's blank.
That's bad.
Quinn is annoyed and demands to know what this is all about, so Andy gives the preamble to his story.
What if the fortune you get in those cookies turned out to be true? And what if the fortune you got was a bad one?
So, the white kid has a tale about magical fortune cookies? Oh, please don't let this be culturally insensitive. It's going to be, isn't it? Man. On hearing the premise of Andy's tale, Quinn suddenly changes his tune wanting a new fortune, but Vange shuts it down.
If I only get one, you only get one.
Yeah, suck it, Quinn. I'm sorry. I don't even know you on a personal level, and that was inappropriate. Look, if you find yourself trying to sneak an extra cookie, just remember these immortal words.
Put that cookie down! Now!
The tale begins on some grainy stock photos of a Chinatown before transitioning to our actual restaurant set. We get some voiceover from Andy explaining that the Emerald Garden restaurant isn't very popular, and that the Lees who own it have to operate it as a whole family. We get a montage of everyone pitching in before our main character, David, asks his dad if he can have the night off to go to a friend's party. His dad says no, since Saturday is supposedly their busiest night. Now, David thinks that he does his fair share and responds as any good child would.
Mom, if it weren't for me, this stupid restaurant would go under. You know, I wish it would go under so I wouldn't have to slave here anymore.
Sorry, I misspoke. He responded the way any normal child would, though wishing for your family's business to go under is a little extreme. David's mother tries to console him.
I'm sorry, sweetheart. It won't always be like this.
Why does his mother look like she's dying from consumption? Are we supposed to think that she's sick? Or did the makeup department just do this lady dirty? Anyway, David's grandfather was watching the entire exchange and seems troubled by it, but there's no time to dwell on that because we have to meet this douche nozzle. Now, Grandfather Lee doesn't witness the actual incident, but it's clear that he can sense a disturbance in the force. This asshat's name is Eddie, and sensing his own doom at the mop of Grandfather Lee, he rushes over to David to do his actual job, dropping off foodstuffs for the restaurant. David signs for the order and says this.
Don't lose this, Eddie. Someday that singing chair will be valuable. I'm gonna make a fortune of my own comic book series.
You see, this is how you know that the writers of this show have never met an actual comic book artist. For some reason, the wannabe artists in these episodes, like this and The Ghastly Grinner, think that their comic book is going to make them a millionaire, and, like, in The Ghastly Grinner, it kind of did by the end or something like that. And look, sure, occasionally an indie artist can hit it big and own the rights to their creation, like Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, until, they got tired of success, and Kevin sold his half to Peter, and then Peter sold everything to Viacom in 2008. But even then, the deal was on his terms, allowing him to still make TMNT comics. But for most artists, the reality is that the comic company that you work for is going to reap the benefits and own what you created. You will not be living in a mansion and driven around by your own personal chauffeur. Now, I know a lot of comic book artists, both indie and industry professionals, who would back me up on this. Anyway, am I going to judge David for having fantasies about what it would be like to be a millionaire comic book artist? No, of course not. Right? He's an idiot teenager who doesn't know better. Now, I do realize, having said that I just went on an entire rant about it, so maybe I am going to give him a hard time about it. Whatever. Shut up.
You never give me a break.
David tells Eddie that he's going to art school as soon as he has enough money to get out of here. He says that he's not going to waste his life here like his parents and grandfather. Ouch. Harsh, bro. Maybe they enjoy running a restaurant, you twat. Anyway, Grandfather Lee hears this and I assume considers including David in the mop beatdown he's going to give Eddie. Anyway, in case you didn't already hate Eddie, he does this.
Morning, sweet thing. What do you say you and me catch a flick tonight?
What are you doing? You look 30. Leave that girl alone. This is David's sister, Teresa. Now, she's not interested in Eddie, and fortunately, David steps in and helps send Eddie packing. Teresa tells David that she got her report card and had high honors, all thanks to him helping her study. He tells her that she did all the work. It's a nice moment between siblings.
What's this for?
Because you're my guardian angel.
Sorry, I think I'm experiencing some allergies or something. Is someone cutting onions? So I'm certainly not crying over this beautiful moment. I gotta go. Later that day, Grandfather Lee gives David a decorative box. David asks why he's giving it to him, and Grandfather Lee says,
It was given to me by my grandfather when I was your age.
Now, did you all catch that? His grandfather gave him the box when he was David's age. Now, why the tradition skips a generation, I don't know. Maybe the off generations don't need to be taught a lesson? But anyway, keep that in mind because it will be important later. David goes to open the box and Grandfather says,
It is not meant to be opened. It is to be admired for what it is, not for what it might be.
What? What kind of fortune cookie is that?
Warriors symbolize the struggle between good and evil.
David thinks that the artwork on the box would make great comic book characters. Grandfather Lee continues spewing his wisdom.
Appreciate what is before your eyes. For one who looks too far down the road ahead may wander off the path before him.
Okay, be honest with me. Grandfather Lee works at the cookie factory writing fortunes on the side, doesn't he? He does. I know he does. Anyway, later after work, David sits down to draw when the box draws his attention. You see what I did there? We'll cut that. Anyway, so he can't help but open the box. Now, I don't want to assume what's in it, but I mean, we all know the name of the episode, so. The next day, David shows the cookies to his sister, and she says,
Wow. Gold fortune cookies?
No, those are plastic painted gold, but nice try though. And here, my friends, is where I'm going to go on another rant. When I was in high school, I graduated in 1999, the same year this episode aired, just for reference, I was friends with a kid named John Lee. John's family owned a Chinese restaurant, and I worked there, and I learned a lot about Chinese family dynamics. John and his sister both worked at the restaurant, just like David and Teresa, and while their parents were a little similar to the parents in the episode, their roles were reversed, with John's dad being more soft-spoken. What did I learn while I worked there? So glad you asked. I learned that what we think of as Chinese food could not be further from actual Chinese food. At the end of the night, when the restaurant would close, John's dad would make real Chinese food for the family, and it typically involved some kind of whole fish and a bunch of other things that I couldn't even begin to describe. The other thing that I learned, which is pretty common knowledge now, but wasn't back then, is that fortune cookies are not Chinese in origin. Now, I know this is upsetting for some of you, so take a moment, catch your breath, I'll wait.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Now, why does this matter? It matters because this box is not some ancient Chinese secret passed down through the generations. Grandfather Lee would have gotten them from his grandfather in the 1940s, and his grandfather, assuming that's how the tradition goes back, would have gotten them from his grandfather in the late 1800s. Now, while there is some debate about the origins, the most common belief is that fortune cookies are based on a Japanese sesame-flavored cracker that would contain a fortune. The treat was known as fortune crackers, which makes a lot of sense when you think about the crack that you get when you open them. Now, they were brought to America by immigrants in the early 1900s and became synonymous with Chinese restaurants during World War II, when the Japanese were forced into internment camps and Chinese restaurants continued making the product. It's a stereotype that the writer could have avoided had they just done a Google search. Wait. No, Google just started in 1998, so... Okay, it could have been avoided if the writer had just done a digger search.
Feed me.
Let's just keep the episode as it is. Anyway, David and Teresa fight over the cookies, dropping the box on the ground. Teresa gets called inside by her dad, so David picks up the cookies but finds one broken, resulting in...
One should find perfect existence through imperfect existence. What kind of a dumb fortune is that?
After David reads the fortune, a solar eclipse happens, and when it ends, the box and cookies have vanished. David is so confused that rather than go into the restaurant through the back door his sister just entered through, he runs around to the front so that we can see how busy it is all of a sudden.
Do you have a reservation?
Reservation? Who are you?
I'm sorry, you can't get in without a reservation.
While David is being turned away, a limo driver approaches him and says perhaps they should try a different restaurant or return to the mansion. Okay. So, even if David doesn't, I see what's going on. He's living his fantasy right now. He's a super rich comic book artist, and it seems that this has increased the popularity of the restaurant too, so everybody wins.
Pigs.
Teresa.
Huh? Okay. Not sure how David becoming an instant millionaire has turned his sister into a rebellious punker, but let's find out.
Don't get mad, okay? I know we can get a load of cash fast.
Yeah? I knew I could count on you, baby.
Sorry, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. I just need a minute. Okay, I think I know what's going on now, but I just need confirmation before I go on a third rant.
Who are you?
Who am I? I'm your brother.
Brother? I don't have a brother.
Got it. So, why does David being a successful comic book artist mean he's erased from his family? I get that the message is probably going to be how important family is over monetary gain, or that living in the present is more important than fantasizing about the future, but I don't see why the family needs to not know him to get that message across. I mean, you know what? I'm not going to go full rant just yet. I'm going to see how this plays out before I tell you how I would have done it. Please continue.
Mom, Dad, something weird is going on.
Oh, sweet, simple David. If your sister didn't know you, your parents sure as aren't going to either.
Look, I don't know who you are, I don't know what you want, but my father died a long time ago.
You are making it real hard for me to get through this. Why does David not existing in the family make it to where the grandfather now died a long time ago? Did David save his life when he was a boy or something? Details. We need details. You can't do an It's a Wonderful Life plot in 22 minutes. You just can't. The reason George's brother wasn't alive in the present when George had never been born is because he wasn't there to save his life when they were kids, and we see that in the movie. I understand that maybe Teresa turned into a rebel without the guidance of her smarty brother, but why would their grandfather now be dead? You know what? I'm gonna walk away for a minute. Get some air, refocus, and come at this with a clear head. I f***ing can't with this right now.
Let's all go to the lobby.
I feel better. I do. Okay, we're just gonna ignore the whole dead grandfather thing and just get through this episode. Okay. David's parents throw him out of the restaurant, and when he tries to go back in, this happens. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know this is supposed to be an intimidating figure, but that is just such an ill-fitting costume. Anyway, David runs away from the black costumed figure around to the front of the restaurant where he encounters his chauffeur again.
We shouldn't keep your fans waiting.
This is my character.
Stop. You're killing me. That's the $1 million comic book character. Okay, pull it together. Pull it together. Okay, now look, some of you may be thinking, I don't see the issue. But if I could just draw your eye to the briefs, to the bikini briefs. Now, I've taken the liberty of doing a mock-up without the cape. And based on the front, this is what the guy would look like from behind. R-man? More like C-man, because look at the cheeks on that. Am I right, ladies? And fellas. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm a professional. I can do this. The chauffeur says that it's the largest selling graphic novel in history. And after seeing the cover myself, I have to admit, I was wrong, right? A comic book artist could become a millionaire with a costume like that because everybody's going to want a piece of that cake. I can't do it. The chauffeur is there to take David to an autograph signing, but he sees Teresa run by and follows her. He sees her go into their home above the restaurant and follows her where he finds her packing her things to run away. She also lets David know why, and it subtly clues the audience in on the message of the story. You might not even catch it.
You know, I created this.
Yeah, you must be pretty rich then.
No, sorry, that was the wrong message. Don't walk away from this episode with visions of comics and mansions in your head.
If they spent a little less time making money and a little more time being family, then maybe I wouldn't be...
You know what? Don't walk away with that message in your head either. There's nothing wrong with success, nor is there anything wrong with dreaming about a better future for yourself. It would be one thing if David started out a jerk obsessed with making money to get away from his family, like maybe if he'd been the one stealing the money that Eddie took at the beginning, and then refused to help his sister study, but that's not the case. He's a good guy. He works hard, he helps his sister, and dreams of being a comic book artist. All kids dream of being rich at some point, unless you're already rich, and then I assume you dream of being richer? Maybe you dream of being poor. I don't know. But based on Teresa's statement, her and David's dad should be the villain of the piece, but obviously it's going to be David who learns a lesson at the end. So let's just continue and find out what that lesson is.
Does being rich make you happy?
Teresa has the cookie box and is intent on selling them just as David was going to do, but I guess since she's going to sell them for Eddie, it's different than when David was going to sell them for himself. David tries to take the box from Teresa, but is interrupted by the warrior in the puffy armor. David asks why he's chasing him, and the warrior responds,
To protect you from a life you hate.
Oh, that's just Darkside David. If that mask gets removed at any point, it's going to be David in there. I'm not sure if that was supposed to be a big twist, but if it was, they should have disguised the warrior's voice better. Anyway, the chauffeur arrives again, asking David to get in the limo because they have a schedule to keep. While David is considering if he should, he finds his sister's pin in his pocket. He's her guardian angel, guys. All these damn allergies. David confronts the warrior, saying that he wants his old life back. A bold statement, considering that he hasn't even experienced the new life. If you're gonna do the blank check plot, where Preston realizes that he misses his family more than having loads of money, see my blank check retrospective for reference, by the way, you need to show David enjoying the wealth before coming to that conclusion. I can't believe I'm saying that the movie Blank Check did a plotline better, but again, some stories just can't be told in 22 minutes. Anyway, after confronting the warrior and stating that he doesn't want to sacrifice his family for his own personal gain, this happens.
Your better half has won.
I knew it! Pay up! Wait, I forgot to bet you all again. Damn it. This is why I'm never going to be rich. That and my grandfather never gave me a box of gold... What's an Irish stereotype? Potatoes? Gold potatoes. Oh my god. Gold potatoes? You can make gold mashed potatoes! Or gold twice-baked potatoes! Probably a nightmare on the digestive tract, but you know what? I want them.
I am all over this.
Another solar eclipse happens and David finds himself back in his normal life. He rushes inside to see his family and upon seeing his mother says,
Boy, do you look great.
She doesn't look great. She looks like she's on death's doorstep. I want the whole makeup department on this episode fired. Yes, I realize that the episode came out almost 30 years ago, but I want this production company to get their money back, with interest.
Yeah, that's about right.
David is so glad to be back that he starts complimenting everything and even does this.
Man, the food smells good.
If I was that guy, I would have punched that kid in the dick. Yeah, I know he's a teen, but don't touch my f***ing food. Anyway, David finds his grandfather and says,
I think I found perfect existence through imperfect existence.
Then you have learned a most valuable lesson.
and that lesson? Never have dreams, kids. Yep, all that matters is your family and what they want. Anyway, the tale ends with the chef from David's fantasy world showing up to apply for a job, to which David says,
Hire him. Don't ask any questions. Just hire him. I promise you won't regret it.
Since everyone else was different in his altered reality, I like to imagine that the guy David just told his parents to hire has never cooked a day in his life and lost his taste buds in a tragic accident involving ranch dressing. Back at the Midnight Society, Quinn sends everyone away and says that he'll get the fire, but it's just so that he can snag another fortune cookie because I guess when people go home for the night, they just leave their story props behind. Anyway, Quinn gets a new fortune that he probably should have seen coming.
I told you, Quinn, only one fortune apiece.
Andy, you are so dead meat!
Now for the review. What can I say? I really did not like this one. I love the intention behind it, right? A story about Chinese culture with an all-Asian cast, but the stereotypes were bad, the plot was borrowed and poorly executed, the costumes and makeup were laughable, and the acting was okay at best.
This isn't fair.
The settings were pretty weak. I mean, we've done a restaurant before, but a Chinese restaurant was a chance for something new and interesting, and then we spend most of the episode outside it or in the alley behind it.
I will pretend I didn't hear that.
The story. Okay, here we go. I already mentioned a lot of my issues throughout the recap, so without removing the offensive cookie stereotype, here's what I would have done with this episode. After the eclipse, David appears immediately either at his mansion or at a comic book signing. He realizes right away what has happened, and we get a quick montage of him enjoying the good life. Then he happens on the restaurant and sees how the family is doing without him. David is still a part of the family, but has no contact with them. The restaurant is doing great, but the family isn't doing well. The sister is struggling in school, and maybe the grandfather just hasn't been the same since David left. David tries to intervene with his sister, but she's angry at him for leaving her with their, work-obsessed dad, and to make matters worse, David's chauffeur keeps pulling him away to do business stuff. At some point, David and his father would interact. At first, it would be cold and bitter, but eventually, David's father apologizes for being so work-obsessed with the restaurant, and which he thinks made David obsessed with money. He says that he knows there needs to be a balance between work and family, but it's a lesson he learned too late. David starts to push back against the chauffeur, and that's when the Dark Warrior appears to force David back in line. David becomes the Light Warrior, and they battle. Now, it doesn't have to be like a full-on sword battle, but like just have them locked together so it looks good, and then have it be more a battle of words back and forth, right? And you have David still coming to the same conclusion that he does in the actual episode. And when he comes back to reality, he apologizes to his family for being a jerk. And then his father apologizes to them as well. And, for being so obsessed with the restaurant. And then he lets David go to that party. So it shows that he is growing as well. Is it perfect? No. But I feel like you could get all that across in 22 minutes and send a better message than the one we got.
It's beautiful.
The scares. No scares, and I would say by intention, it's not a scary episode. Now, they maybe could have gotten a few scares if they would have had some glimpses of the Dark Warrior throughout before their actual confrontation, just like side glimpses in a darkened doorway or behind the main character, that quick cut kind of stuff. I also think that the warrior costume was pretty awful. I mean, I realize that the armor that they were basing it on is bulky, but when it's made out of foam and moves like foam instead of armor, it just looks silly.
Gee, you think?
The acting in this episode was fine. Eddie was great. at portraying the sleazy scumbag, and Teresa did a decent enough job playing the good and bad, although her bad could have used a little more edge. David was solid enough for the most part, but I feel like he struggled in the scenes where he needed the most emotion. There just wasn't really much going on in his face in those moments.
You gotta help me.
The adult acting was good. We don't get much from the parents, but the actors did a good job at portraying the all-business father and the caring mother. The chauffeur isn't given much to do and delivers those lines like somebody who wasn't given much to do. Grandfather Lee was probably the standout, even though he only has 2 speaking scenes. He showed good emotion in his eyes and on his face when it was appropriate. And let's face it, the man writes one hell of a fortune.
That's excellent!
Andy, the tale of the Misfortune Cookie doesn't meet the approval of the Midnight Society. Midnight Society members poll on this one was, at the time of recording this video, another even split, with 50% approving it and 50% not approving it. So just like last time this happened, the deciding vote goes to me, and look at that. The nays take it. That's right, Andy. Suck it. I am sorry. I don't know what's with me today. Look, I don't even know what it is, but you don't have to suck it.
Please, go away.
Thank you to my patrons financially supporting the channel on Patreon. Jimmy Purcell, Rick Maxwell, Sean Hart, Jay Booth, Tony Ebers, Jessica Tim, EC, J.R. Green, Emilio Flores, AJN, and Andy Exiled. If you want early access to videos as well as bonus behind-the-scenes content, you can join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month, or you can join for free, but the dollar gets you the good stuff. Check it out at patreon.com/jackofallnerds.
Don't think this is gonna get you out of work.
I want to thank the following Midnight Society members for participating in this video's polls, but I can't because rumor has it that there are gold potatoes in these woods, and I'm going to find them. Names are on the screen. Oh, I found them! A load of gold potatoes!
Everyone's always after me gold potatoes.
What? Who are you?
I'm the leprechaun.
Like the Lucky Charms leprechaun or the Warwick Davis one?
Give me gold potatoes.
Oh, ow! 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 Oh, you stupid little ankle biter! Anyway, what did you all think of Andy's story? Did you see it as a kid? What cultural stereotypes would you like to have as a golden family heirloom? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to check out the next episode on the tale of the gruesome gourmets. Until then, are you afraid of the dark?
Man, the food smells good.
Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like and a share. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when more of these videos go up. Catch y'all next time.